Good afternoon, everyone. Very excited to see all of you here. Let me ask you a quick question. How many of you use some sort of chatbot or AI agent on a daily basis? Yes, 80% of you. Yes, I use it every day. It's indispensable. So the question is, what happens when we bring AI agents into Web3? The way we work has already been transformed very quickly by chatbots and AI agents. And when we combine these with workflows, with work that's happening on-chain in Web3, we get this confluence of benefits and strengths from two sets of technologies. On one hand, we have Web3 that brings us self-sovereignty, censorship resistance, transparency. These are all attributes that help to deliver more economic freedom to more folks around the world, and that's the reason why a lot of us jumped into this industry and build in the first place. At the same time, we all know that Web3 applications tend to be more difficult to use, very complex, especially when it comes to DeFi and many other things that people want to do and benefit from on-chain. And AI agents, they distill collective wisdom and intelligence that we have accumulated over time and help us accomplish tasks at a much higher level by abstracting away a lot of the complexity and grunt work. And they could also act autonomously on our behalf as assistants. So when we bring the two worlds together, we start creating this powerful combination of capabilities where these smart autonomous agents could really bring the benefits of Web3 to a much wider audience, and at the same time strengthen the capabilities of dApps that we're building. So traditionally, users interact with dApps, right? Those are the only interactions that we see. And nowadays, we're seeing more and more AI agents interacting with dApps in addition to users working with dApps. And when we're building, as builders, building these dApps, Web3 applications, we're start thinking about scenarios that are broader than what we were thinking about even a year ago. Now, with the past and present design patterns though, however, these dApps are pretty passive, right? They are on the receiving end of instructions from either a human being or AI agents, and then they execute the on-chain logics accordingly. But what if these dApps can talk back to AI agents which run off-chain? And that's where Boba Network comes in, because we have built a piece of technology called hybrid compute that enables dApps to do exactly that. And that makes these dApps much more intelligent and interactive. They can actually talk back to AI agents. So now you have this two-way conversation flowing back and forth between AI agents and your smart contracts. One of the design patterns that we came up with, we don't have an official name yet, but I like to call it the guardian angel design pattern, which is, imagine if you have a user or AI agent trying to take out a loan on chain, right? Or do something with your smart contract. Before you actually proceed with processing that transaction, the smart contract can actually talk to a different AI agent, maybe an agent that you have trained as the guardian angel, looking over this smart contract and tracking that transaction request to see, well, is this loan, should it go through or is it fraudulent, right? And you can update this AI agent over time by keep feeding it with new data, right? And training it and guarding over this smart contract that runs on chain. So that makes Boba Network the ideal home for building generative AI dApps that are interactive, that can talk back to AI agents. Now, for those who might not have heard of Boba, we're one of the first layer 2s to launch. We're part of the Optimism Superchain Collective. It's also a multi-chain layer 2 deployed on both Ethereum and the BNB, the Binance chain. There's a thriving ecosystem on Boba already, with more than 100 dApps and ecosystem partners deployed and integrated, with 45,000 transactions happening daily on average. So there's already a lot going on the Boba network. And what we want to do is to take it to the next level by taking hybrid compute to developers to help you build dApps that can interact with AI agents. So how does that work, right? How would your dApps talk back to AI agents? So it's pretty easy actually from a building perspective. You add these one-line calls to your smart contracts that would call your favorite AI agent or Gen AI API. You get the response back as part of the input to the transaction just in time. And then you can decide what to do with that response, right? So for example, in the guardian angel design pattern I talked about, right? If there's an AI agent off-chain trained as a fraud detector that tells you, hey, this transaction looks a little sus, and the smart contract can decide to just deny that transaction, or on the other hand, let it through. And there's no scheduled data push. Nothing happens until the transaction, the smart contract actually reaches out to the off-chain API, calls invokes an AI agent or off-chain API, gets the response back, and then the response can be used just in time at the beginning of your smart contract transaction. So it's pretty straightforward. Now I'll give you a couple of examples that our team built over the course of just a few days. We wanted to see, all right, what could we do with this capability by combining hybrid compute on OAuth with Gen AI? So first one I wanted to share is called Codecaster. The idea is to create an on-chain address that makes using hybrid compute even simpler than it is today by sending it a natural language command. And Codecaster would then translate that into call data that can be executed. So for example, a user can simply type, send a certain amount of ETH to a wallet address. And Codecaster would translate it into executable transaction data. Hybrid compute passes that request to an off-chain handler, which then sends that in our case, in this implementation, to ChatGPT, which then processes and structures the prompt into something that can be processed by a smart contract. So in addition to transferring tokens, you can also approve conditional transactions, currency conversions. And this is something that our team built in just a few days. So imagine what you can build by in an actual product by spending even just a few weeks on this. And you can check out the code. We have made it publicly available on GitHub. So check it out. We wanted to build some examples that would serve as an inspiration for builders. Next, please. The next example I wanted to share with you is what we call PresiPlots. And this is kind of a fun game to play. We've created this in the midst of the US election cycle, so there's a lot of attention paid to political discussions, policy discussions. So the idea here is we would ask ChatGPT to come up with a policy scenario every day, and users could participate by submitting a policy proposal and staking a certain amount of, let's say, BOBA tokens. And at the end of the day, when the submission period closes, ChatGPT would then go through the proposals and pick the best one, and the best one wins the pool. So kind of a fun game to play, very topical. And again, this uses global hybrid compute to create a scenario. Users submit the proposal, and the code, we've also made it available on GitHub. So we encourage you to go check it out, and again, use it as inspiration for what you might want to build. Now, what else can you do? There are tons of Gen AI APIs out there. For example, you can use character.ai and create an agent with a certain kind of personality. It could be a fictional character, it could be a well-known person, politician, celebrity, and infuse a meme coin or NFT with that personality. As things happen to that meme coin on chain, right, that AI agent could start talking on Farcaster or X in a certain way in response to how that meme coin is performing, for example. Or you can create an on-chain landing protocol similar to the example that I gave earlier with the Guardian Angel design pattern, where you have a second AI agent guarding over the on-chain logic in response to what the actions of a human user or an AI agent trying to take out a loan. Or in the case of existing fintech companies that might have spent years training a risk model, you can turn that into an agent, right? That acts as effectively a loan officer. And in this case, you can then extend what you offer to currently completely off-chain Web2 fintech loans to your existing customer base. And when they start migrating on-chain to do DeFi, you can actually follow them and start offering on-chain loans as well. So the possibilities are really limitless, and the design space is wide open. Ultimately, what we want to do at Enya Labs is to really build infrastructure, build capabilities to allow builders like you to create richer and more powerful applications that could lift up the economic freedom of everyone around the world. And what's next? So start brainstorming, start designing these interactive dApps, how your next dApp might work with AI agents, multiple of them, and in an interactive way. The resources we have made available online, and we are going to be launching an online course in January to focus on this. So keep that in mind. Follow us on X, Boba Network, and also join our Telegram group. There's a Telegram group called Boba Builders. Feel free to join and ask any questions you like, and bounce ideas with our DevRel engineers in the group. And lastly, I wanted to share with you two opportunities for developers. One is an accelerator program that we have just launched in partnership with Brink called the Boba Liftoff Accelerator. The current cohort is active, and some of them have started launching their projects on Boba. Keep your eye out for the next cohort that will be opening after this cohort is done. And then secondly, there's also a grants program we have just launched in partnership with the Thrive protocol called Thrive Boba. Check it out. Season 1 has just closed. Keep your eyes open for Season 2 as you start thinking about your next app to build or making your existing one interactive with AI agents. Submit them to either one of these programs for the next season, and we'll be keeping an eye out for what you dream up and support you on your journey. Thank you so much.